Wherever the heck in the world you are, it's the one and only V, the Guerrilla Economist, with my main man, the cowboy himself, the Algo Cowboy himself. And listen, this is the free session of Algo Factory Tech. Look, don't sit on the fence. Don't leave money on the table. Join Algo Factory. Make a positive impact on your bottom line, on your financial future. And with that being said, let's get into it, cowboy.
For sure. Yeah, I got the URL at the bottom of the screen. And right now we are in the free daily live lab session. So this is aimed at beginners. And we actually broadcast this out to YouTube for about 30 minutes. And then we keep it going, but we skip off of YouTube and we continue for our private members over on Telegram. So, that's how this works. And we usually cover basic stuff for beginners. So, this week I'll probably just go over, for today, what's happening this week. What does the market look like? What can we expect? It's early in the month. So, we don't have the end of the month jitters. It's early in the quarter. The quarter just started. So fortunately, we don't have those kind of jitters happening. So we can kind of take a look at the calendar. But if you look down there, you'll see the URL right there. That's www.algofactory.tech. Come on over, pay a visit, see how we do things. And that'll, that's the website. Of course, it'll tell you what we do, how we do it. And you can also go over to use your phone to zap the screen here. I just put up a QR code. Okay, so if you're like watching this on a computer, take your phone, zap that. Or if there's a way to zap it, I'm so like kind of behind right now on tech a little bit. I'm gonna get that new Apple, the 15 Pro Max, whatever the Pro Max version is, the 15 when it comes out in September. So
yeah,
might have some catching up to do on phones.
What number are you on right now?
I'm on like the X, dude. I bought an X cash like years ago.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. I'm like 5 generations behind.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, like, why pay? The phone works great. I don't do any...
Apple's good at constantly updating, which is awesome.
Yeah, constant updates, and I got the best processor at the time, so the phone works fine. But actually, one of the issues, it's the port, man, because I don't use those like Bluetooth headphones, those cancer generators.
Mm-hmm. You use a headphone jack or something?
No, it's a headphone jack, and so the headphone jack is because I use it all the time. It's gotten loose. Like, gotcha. I don't know if do you use those Bluetooth headphones?
Yes.
Okay, I would not be using.
Put my Bluetooth headphones on. I turn them on to maximum power, and I go to sleep every night with them.
Oh yeah, it's a smart idea.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
I made sure I turn the EMF meter to like 11. There's a setting for that within the settings. It says maximum radiation. You press that button, and you wake up. Next year, you have a cauliflower growing on the side of the head. It's amazing.
So if you can hear your own brain frying, then you're doing it right.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to hear the sizzle.
It's like
sizzle, then you're missing it, my nizzle.
It's like someone's cooking in bed next to you.
Exactly. You want to have that. Absolutely.
Okay, let's do this. Let me see. I'm going to spread the link here. And ask questions. Putting our YouTube link over on, on Discord. So that just inviting some people over. Let's take a look here. While we listen to our chill music. All right. Well, I don't do that. So, and I use headphones all the time. I'm either taking in information a lot of the time, like podcasts, whatever, Tom Luongo. Dude, I got to send you, I'm going to send you this link real quick. I'm not going to talk about this because of it's not really related, but I'm just going to send you a link, and it's like a 2-minute video. You got to check it out, dude. Hold on. From the Solari report. Let's just say that there was a medicine experiment, that the jibby jab from, the jibby jab thing. And there's some discoveries that got made about that by some scientists over in Europe. So I'm going to send you a link to that. We can talk about it maybe on Thursday. But anyway, back to the lesson at hand. We're looking at. Oh, you're not looking at the screen. Yeah, bring the screen up.
Bring the screen up.
Bring up the screen. I got a trade that I entered on, I think it was like Friday or Thursday night last week. And I'm waiting for, like, I just put a small entry on this one. It's been like almost exclusively in profit, which is nice. Because sometimes trades kind of swing back and forth, and I plan for it to swing back and forth, but there's always that chance that it just goes like straight to targets. So I went ahead and entered a trade because it was a 1-to-1. So let me make this a lot more visible for people here. Give me 1 second. Right now you're looking at just kind of screen gobbledygook. Yeah, it was just kind of the end of the week, and I found a nice trade. This is like a 1.08 to 1, so the risk to reward is not my optimal, but it's already halfway to the target, so that's just money being made. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. Cannot complain about profit. So that's where we are with that. But I think before we get too far into charts, let's kind of take a gander at what's happening on the calendar. So kind of set up for the week. Today, from everything I'm seeing, is kind of pointing towards, wow, where's the calendar? Come on, load up. It's pointing towards a quiet day today. Like not a lot of volume, not a lot of volatility. Kind of like V's like all chill this morning. Hey everybody.
Oh yeah.
It's like just kind of a chill Monday. He's not doing the yelling just yet. Marcus could be like that too. Although, let me see if this is synced up. 6:38 a.m. my time. Yeah. So at 10 a.m. EST, 11 a.m. EST, which is pretty late for the UK, because the EST is like 5 hours behind. So they go like 6 p.m. UK, 6 p.m. What is it? What do they call it now? CET, UTC, UTC. Their Governor Bailey speaks. So the head of the BOE is gonna have something to say, and usually what they do, of course, is they analyze every little thing that the central bank heads will say to try to determine what they're going to do with the market. So if you're trading the pound, in about 2.5 hours, you're going to see probably some volatility. And then again, claim account change, I assume that has to do with employment. Let's see here. Yeah, so this is an unemployment numbers. That will be at the London Open. So there should be some nice volatility overnight. I'll probably be up trading tonight, the European session. I'll probably stay away from the pound for the first, 30 minutes. But, depending on how, I don't know, I might set some, I'll look for some breakouts is what I'll probably do. And then tomorrow later, let's say the Asian Open, you got New Zealand and Aussie news, pretty much their version of the FOMC over there. So their official, their officialdom from their central bank is going to talk. So I wouldn't be trading any of the Kiwi or the Aussie, anything around that time. Tomorrow night, Wednesday again, some excitement on the in the London Open, and that'll be at 4 a.m. EST, and then 6:30 is just going to be like quite the day. The CPI comes out. That's probably the hottest news of the month right now, because CPI is Consumer Price Index. This is basically a measure of inflation month over month and year over year. And so what that number says is going to be sort of translated to whether or not they're more likely to raise or drop rates this month. Right. So I think next week is the FOMC. If I'm not mistaken, it's usually halfway through the month. So this CPI, if it comes out higher than expected, then you can kind of assume that they're not going to cut rates, and they may even raise rates. If it's at expected or lower, then you can assume they might just kind of hold the rates where they are. I know Powell has hinted at 2 more rate hikes this year. There are those who think that's just simply not going to happen. I know historically, when there's been a rate pause, that means that rates are going to get cut. That's historically how that turns out. Not everything happens as predicted. There's a decent chance where things are not going to not going to happen as planned, but that's just how it's going to be looked at. So on Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. EST, you can expect some pretty decent volatility going on there. So I'll probably be not messing around until maybe until the market calms down and resumes direction. There's ways to trade that, but my way of trading that is by not being in it at the time of the announcement and then looking for the entry once that comes out. And I generally wait. And of course, you have the same thing in Canada, about 1.5 hours after that.
Canada, where's that?
Canada, that's America's hat.
Oh, Canada is America's
Canada,
hat.
yeah. They have like 8
Canada.
people and their socialist dog live up there.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah, they actually have a bank up there. So that's gonna happen like an hour after the US one. So playing USD, playing Canada tomorrow is, like I said, I'll just wait for the data to come out first. GDP. So the London session is gonna have like a lot of stuff right at the open this week, which means that the London session is gonna have some good volatility. Just gotta wait for that data to come out. Again, that's what I do. You do what you do what your algo tells you to do. Mine says to wait for the information to come out, ride the volatility afterwards. We're going to have PPI, which is the producer's inflation. That's going to come after CPI. In the last few months, if not before that, the nice thing about PPI is it tends to follow the CPI. So, CPI comes in low or high, decent chance we're going to see the PPI come in that way. Now, the unemployment claims, that might be actually what pushes the data, because if PPI comes in flat at the 0.2% expected, then there's probably not going to be a lot of push around in the market, and the unemployment claims may have more of a look. And there are those like George Gammon who believe that Powell and his ilk believe the only way they can stifle inflation is to hike up unemployment. So the only way to cause unemployment that they know of is to raise rates and make money harder for companies to buy, borrow, And so when companies cannot borrow money, money does not go into the stock market, and companies can't function and people get fired. So that's how they're looking at the metrics. They're pushing on things to make other things happen. So if unemployment is going up, then a lot of people are going to read that as rates might get cut soon, and then the market will head up. So I don't worry too much about what this means, what that means, number up, number down. That doesn't quite matter to me. What matters is what happens after the event and how the price kind of equalizes. So how price calms down, what happens to it afterwards. And I follow that from a technical standpoint. That's how I roll. So that's the week ahead. A little bit more data, University of Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday. That has an effect, but probably not a big one. I know today though is going to be relatively rangy, unless you're playing the pound. That might have some action, but just kind of coming off of a mellow sort of weekend. That's what that is. We got Valley Girl in the chat. What's up? Magnificent Monday morning to you as well. Over on our private group, we have a lower level of viewers than usual. It's probably another quiet Monday morning.
And summer. It's July. This is the vacation month.
Yeah, and this, July, August is when the market tends to slow down. Obviously, as you can see from this chart, I'm able to find the action despite that July slowdown. So, that a lot of people take this month off of trading. It's like, oh, there's no action. Like, oh, I don't know. That looks like action to me. So if this, hey,
really quick, Jim Cramer is now out there claiming that Thread is going to be amazing and that Zuck is going to do well and buy Meta. So you know what that means.
Oh, geez, yeah, stay away.
It's the kiss of death.
Well, I swear he's turned into like They just use him to herd people around.
Yep.
And it's kind of like bad propaganda. It only works for so long. Like even the normies get, they after a while they're like, every time I bet on this guy I lose. Like even the normies will figure that out.
Yeah.
So I mean, but we know that the Kramer rule, the inverse Kramer ETF is it's either in play now or
Kramer rules are in effect, man.
Yeah, let's see if the inverse Kramer ETF even exists. CRA. See if that's even out. I know they're talking about it. I don't know if it actually came out. The inverse Kramer tracker ETF, which is SJIM, is a fund, so it does exist. So yeah, you can. Here's the ETF overview on MarketWatch. Inverse Kramer ETF. Look at that. It's out and it's going up.
Yep. There you go.
Let's see how the zoom in on that. It hasn't been out for very long. All right, so actually it's let's go back a little ways here. Year to date. That's actually not doing that well. Look at that. It did great, and then it's not doing that well. So Jim Cramer is actually, according to this, is having a positive effect. This inverse Kramer ETF might be keeping him honest to a degree. But would I buy Thread or Meta? I mean, I don't, dude, there are a lot of normies out there that just will buy what they're told to buy. So, he could boost the market. Yeah, he could boost the market, According to that, he's been correct. According to the inverse Kramer ETF, he's actually winning. So, the numbers are speaking on that. So you gotta be careful. Just because we don't like the guy doesn't mean he's wrong. Yeah. So let's just kind of take a look at the charts now that we've kind of lined out the week. Let's start with crypto. Let's take a look at Ripple. We haven't done that for a minute. I'm going to do a Ripple review today first. I'm going to go to the 12-hour chart. Okay. Well, I might as well start with Bitcoin because we're on it. Bitcoin did a fake out breakout. I actually put it on Twitter saying, hey, let's see it.
We were talking about this last week. Where's it at now?
It's sitting at like 30,100. So, I was thinking maybe it might kind of erupt upwards, but it never did. And the actual Twitter post that I brought up, let me bring up Twitter so everybody can see it. Give me 1 second. I'll go to profile. Because I was like, hey, I don't go long, I'm not going long here, but this is what might happen. And if it doesn't happen, you know what I mean? So I was correct in not going long. Let's see here. Here it is. I don't like to go long resistances. It's just the same. Bitcoin wants to head up to at least 33, 34K. I also don't like setting stop orders for BTC breakouts because liquidity sweeps are gnarly. If I can catch breakout plus a pullback. And then, of course, right afterwards, no clean breakout, no long entry. Let's see if the move was a fake out, right? And we did talk about that live on the show as being a distinct possibility. That tweet was on, let's see here, July 3rd. And as of July 3rd, there you are with the fake out a couple days after that. I know this is the one on the 3rd. It tried to fake out or tried to break out, got rejected, got pulled back down, even tried to break out again, just as that chart on the tweet indicated. As you see here, it even tried to break out again. I had a little bit longer afterwards, but it actually ended up getting rejected twice. And with Bitcoin, I look for, some kind of a breakout and to reclaim. It needs to reclaim above resistance. And now that's actually moved up from where it was. So if I were to chart this properly, I would be now moving this up to here, because you just keep getting these tests and these rejections. And the same is on the bottom end. If you look at the bottom end, you see that Bitcoin just continues to test and wick down into these areas and get crushed back upwards. So it's just completely range bound right now. And until it breaks out of that, I don't mess around. And the level of volatility, let me look at the ADX real quick. It's kind of, yeah. So this, I'm going to blow this up. This is your volatility. It's only diving on the 12 hours. It's kind of almost like the daily. It's like a half a day chart. So the fact that volatility is falling, it means that the breakouts are getting weaker and weaker and weaker. However, it also means the price is probably winding up for a move. So whenever it does finally break out, it will probably be a strong move. If we look over at the Kingfisher, and I'm going to spin to win. I actually won a spin. I got 10 credits yesterday. I was kind of impressed. Almost got it right there. So Bitcoin, all leverage. Volatility still all to the downside and clustered around the nearest node is going to be around like 26,000. So, and the top of that node is actually 26.5, 26.4. So you're looking at your closest bit of, substantial liquidity is here. And it hasn't really changed. 26.5-ish down to 26,000. The liquidity's just sitting there, right? There's a little bit, sitting at about 27.5. Have just a little bit there, but that's kind of a blip. I'm not really looking at that so much. It's there, it does exist. But price is going to eventually want to head down that way. And the longer, I don't know, it's generally when a range bound scenario, you have a support, you have a resistance. You have the bottom as a support, the top as a resistance, right? And price is kind of repeatedly testing both. So, when structure continues to be tested, eventually it usually breaks. I mean, I'd say almost infinitely always has broken in the past. Otherwise, price would just be where it is for the last 5 years. So it's going to break at some point, right? And the question is, which way does it break? Well, it depends usually where the liquidity is. And right now, the liquidity is to the downside. So at some point, I expect price to kind of pull one of these, something like that. Now, it might not happen where I just drew it, but at some point, it's probably going to happen. Now, it's already fake out breakdown because Bitcoin does have a habit of breaking out upwards to bring in the moon boys, but it's summertime. There's not as many people trading, so they might not be tempted to do that. And there's not a lot of liquidity above price. You have a little bit up to say 30.8 thousand, but that's just where price keeps going anyway. Not even that's just up here. There's not a lot of liquidity above this resistance. So sure, there might be a little fake out, but eventually I think, and I'm talking about this for weeks, the price is most likely going to make its way down to that mid 20s. It's been up here too long. I'm expecting Bart Simpson to kind of pop out here, got his eye right there, nose, little Bart Simpson teeth. So eventually that's probably what we're going to see. Little Bart Simpson head. But you never know. Bitcoin is a wily beast. It does what it does. And remember, the liquidity profile can change. It might be that for whatever reason the market gets super shorty, super bearish. A lot of people throw shorts on. Then there's liquidity up top, and then of course price moves up there. Liquidity is not a stagnant thing. But that's what I expect with Bitcoin. And right now in the summertime, there's two things can happen. When the volatility goes down, you get a lot of ranging price action. That's just how it is. However, when price action does have a lot of range activity, there's also the chance that the market makers it'll be a little easier time. It'll cost them less money to move price towards liquidity. So, and of course, when price really is doing literally nothing, a couple of things happen. One thing we can pay attention to as price does that is the Bitcoin dominance chart. And the Bitcoin dominance chart just as a quick review, everybody, I'll do BTC.D, and Bitcoin.D is going to be, that is an ugly, that's not it, BTC.D. So that's market cap dominance. That's how much money is in Bitcoin versus how much money is in altcoins, right? So I'm going to go to a higher time frame chart. We'll say the 5-day chart, so basically like the weekly chart. And dominance has only been rising, right? Just on a pretty steady slope up. But we have a special kind of dominance that we use, right? And we'll talk about that once we hop off of YouTube. I have a special formula for dominance that's actually chartable. This is a basic dominance. It's telling us the price is only getting more and more into Bitcoin, and that tends to happen prior to a larger move in Bitcoin. And right now, probabilistically, the larger move in Bitcoin is going to be down to the mid-20s. So we'll take a quick look at Ripple real quick, because that's what I said we would do. Ripple is at this point continuing to range, and let me, oh yeah, look at this. This is my prediction from like last week. We'll take a quick look at the liquidity for Ripple and see if that still is what it was before. Let this thing calculate. I'm not taking a sweet time. All right, so the liquidity in Ripple is still at that 48-cent area. So, and this box right here is there. So the same liquidity that I had has not changed. So price did, as I predict, go down to bounce off the bottom of this range where historically it has been wicked into and rejected twice. So now Ripple's slowly making its way up. I drew it like kind of heading up into this area, but obviously it's moving much more slowly. So we'll go ahead and amend our drawing there, our prediction, and you have Ripple heading up to 48 cents, and it's already sitting at like 47. I mean, I don't know that there's a real the opportunity would be to have caught this move to the bottom of the range. That would have been the opportunity, and there's not a lot of volatility. I don't know that there is a whole lot of room to make any money with that trade per se, but that's where it is. I mean, that's where it is on the higher time frame. If I were to go like this, that. Why am I going from, okay, 648, this is a 3-day chart. Okay. So on the half a month, I'm just looking at it. Yeah, super flat. You know, Ripple's going to be like that. It's just going to probably bounce in its range until the lawsuit's done. If you ignore all that gobbledygook, you can see that basically you're looking at price staying in the more or less of the 29 cent, say 28.9, and kind of bouncing off of like the mid 50s and then coming down. So there, and then there's just a lot of little movement that's going on in here. Now there have been some higher lows. Price is kind of compressing towards the top of that range, but it could just as easily head back down. And throughout this month, I don't expect a whole lot to happen due to it being July and August. You know, you might get some moves, might not. I'll be able to tell if they're going to happen. If I catch them, I will trade them for our private group. But for now, we're going to hop over to that private group and continue this conversation. We just got to have the gorilla give us his gorilla send-off.
All right, all you savages, it's Monday morning. It's a slow market week, but hey, you know what? Join us over at Algo Factory, because the education, the learning, and the training is fast and furious, and it is amazing. So come check us out, algofactory.tech. Link is in the description box. Don't waste any more time and stop leaving